There's an invisible thing that's blocking you from having your ideal relationship. And if you watch by the end of this video, we're going to go over exactly what it is and how you can actually clear it. So if you're struggling with relationships like friendships, intimate relationships, or commitment, or getting ghosted, understand that some of those problems may not even be you, to be 100% honest. Some of those problems may be from your ancestors, from your family, unresolved issues that had never been cleared before. Part of the reason why I was able to stumble onto this was because I'm lucky enough to have really, really old people in my family. I just came back from my grandmother's 100th birthday. She was born in 1925. This woman is a century old. Oh my God, she is older than sliced bread. Sliced bread was was made a few years after she was born. So when I say that this woman is old, she is old and she has been through a lot. And at that birthday party, there were around like 100 people who showed up. She has, I think altogether between kids, grandkids, great grandkids, and one great great grandkid, she has about like I think around 60 to 70 people that came through her directly. So she's ushered in a lot of people into the world. The beautiful thing that I have about having so many family members at various ages, between the ages of like 40, 50, 60, 70, and of course grandma all the way up at 100, I get to hear all of these different stories. And this is where we get into what the actual issue is that's invisible for most people. It's visible for me because I know the stories about what happened. But whether you know it or not, the experiences related to relationships that your family has gone through has a direct effect on you and your relationships. There have been studies that have gone over the effect that memories and ancestral memory has on us and ourselves. And science has begun to catch up to essentially what spiritual teachers have known for centuries or even millennia. The fact that what happened to your family members stays with you. And we refer to it as like generational curses, or we understand that like, hey, trauma, moves from one generation to another. But now they understand the mechanisms that are behind this. Data and trauma and energy being stored in people's DNA. Like your DNA in your body actually is like a hard drive that holds this data, that holds this energy, that holds these memories, maybe without the images, but with the emotional imprint and the emotional energy that goes along with it. So if on your mother's line, your family dealt with divorces and infidelity, those things are going to have an effect on you and your energy related to relationships. And if on your father's line he dealt with being backstabbed and mistrust of friends, then that's something that's going to affect how you view friends, whether you know about the memories that happened before or not. Now, the beautiful thing about like having a whole bunch of old people around, especially ones who maybe take a couple drinks, those people, they like to tell stories. And I've heard so many different stories about my family over the years, and I'm freaking 31 years old, and I'm still uncovering family lore that makes what happened and what's going on in my family makes so much more sense. I understand, because of the stories that I've heard of my grandma, I understand why most of my aunts all have failed marriages or difficult relationships. There are a few cousins and people who do have good, healthy relationships, but they're very few compared to most of the ones who have difficult relationships or who've had several divorces and problems. And I understand that the problem stems from traumas that my grandmother went through. See, my grandmother lived as the bourgeoisie down in Haiti. Our family was always very well connected in politics. Throughout the centuries, actually. My grandmother's and other family members' sides, always involved in politics from very early on in Haiti. And with her husband, she had most of her children. What happened with her husband was the guy was assassinated. After that traumatic experience, which being widowed like that, it would fuck up most people. But for her, she now had to take care of 7 children and run a business, because on top of being in politics, he also owned a soda business. She didn't understand or know the intricacies of the business. So when stuff started going south and there were problems in the business, it's not like she had the skills or knowledge to handle that situation. So even though she was able to run it with the partner for a while, that ended up falling apart, and the partner took over the business and basically cut her out. And she stayed in the country until her brother-in-law also got kidnapped and taken by the government, and she was like, okay, I'm not gonna stick around for this, and then left with the kids. And all of them left to go live in New York, because that's where one of her daughters had moved. Now, after going through that experience of losing your husband, the rock, the person who was supposed to take care of you, that's going to leave a lasting effect. After that point, she didn't want to put herself through a similar situation where she would put all of her hope and trust into somebody knowing that this man at any moment could die. So that pain caused her to teach all of her daughters, do not depend on a man. Be hyper independent. Have your own career to take care of yourself. Because she went from having servants and maids to literally going to New York and having to clean people's homes and wash their toilets. Ultimately, she worked her way up and ended up going to school and becoming a registered nurse, which she did for, if I'm not mistaken, about like 15 years. But she learned how to pull herself up by her bootstraps and to take care of her family. And she taught her daughters the very same thing, not knowing that emotional insistence on not depending on men caused all of her daughters to become hyper masculinized. A lot of them, mind you, also went into healthcare. So a lot of them were either nurses, doctors, something in the healthcare space. So her influence was very strong, because I think about 80% of my family on that side are in healthcare in some capacity. And most of them are hyper independent women who do not want to be with men that they have to depend on. Because of that, most haven't really focused on developing their feminine qualities and their feminine value. They end up attracting men who are not necessarily providers. They attract men who are either more feminized, or men who use them for their financial capability, because that's the only thing that they believe is their value, because that's the only thing that they were like beaten over the head with by my grandmother, not focusing on their feminine qualities and the things that would cause them to have a relationship. Because grandma was most definitely not concerned with helping these women have healthy, loving relationships, because she did that and then she felt as though she got burnt. Yeah. And because I have the benefit of family members who remember these stories, I understand when I look out over my family and notice these patterns that play out again and again, I understand the story and the trauma behind why things are that way. The sad thing is, a lot of people haven't spent a lot of time with their older family members, talking to them, understanding like the deep lore of families to understand why their families are like that, or why they're being influenced. So I understand the invisible forces that have shaped and molded my family and molded myself in terms of relationships. For most people, it's an invisible force that impacts them, because they don't know the stories about what their grandmother went through, what their mom went through, what their father went through, because no person goes through life unscathed. All of these people were molded by the experiences of the caregivers that they had, whether their parents were there or they weren't there. It doesn't matter. Whatever experiences, regardless of if they knew the stories or not, they have an impact on how they raised you and how you move in relationships. So if you're struggling with relationships like friendships, intimate relationships, or commitment, or getting ghosted, understand that some of those problems may not even be you, to be 100% honest. Some of those problems may be from your ancestors, from your family, unresolved issues that had never been cleared before, because you don't have the knowledge or the stories to clear that stuff. And that's why one of the core things that I teach people to do that has such a profound impact, even if people go off and like start learning other manifestation techniques after doing like sessions and some of the processes that I teach, they're able to actually manifest something different, because what we're doing is we clear out like ancestral stuff. We clear out the energy that you didn't even know was there. And that's why I do stuff like doing guided meditations around Ho'oponopono and energy work, because ultimately what we're doing when you do the Ho'oponopono, which is a Hawaiian process, which includes essentially 4 phrases that you're cycling to clean out data of stuff that's inside of the body, all these feelings that may not have any memories attached to them. You're finally giving yourself tools to churn this stuff up and to process it, to feel it, and to finally release it and let it go. After doing those processes with people, I've had tons of people who've done calls with me who've just like been bawling, crying, and I could throw up a couple of clips of like just people crying, because it's profound. Like, so many people are like, I didn't even know I had these heavy feelings in me related to like my mom or my dad or this person or that person. I didn't think of them in that way before. I didn't let those emotions go. And after having those experiences, I've had people go and immediately start manifesting new relationships between them and their parents. I had one girl up in New York, one of my favorite clients. She's amazing. One of the things that we did after, like, we did a forgiveness exercise between her and her father and her mom, what she noticed was that her mom started having more intimate moments with her father. They were like being cute together. Her dad was planning trips. He was being more sweet, more affectionate. He was calling her more, not just the mom, but calling, my client more. And he was making an effort to be there, to support her, to do other things, which he had never done before. And what she realized was like, oh, this is stuff that I finally got the opportunity to help clear. And my dad, it's helping me in my relationship with my mom. There's so much more love, passion, and affection in this relationship that didn't exist before because we cleared the invisible stuff. We cleared the stuff that nobody knew or had the tools to do anything about. People were just sitting around getting hurt, recycling that same hurt energy. I'm hurt, I'm angry, I'm triggered because you said this, so I'm going to say stuff that gets you angry and you mad because I'm mad, and I'm going to share that energy with you. I'm pissed off. I'm going to nag you because you did something and I'm resenting you. Not knowing that by doing that, you're building more resentment, building more anger, you're recycling the same energy so that you experience it again. No, I'm not about that. You can go, if you want to just do stuff like attract people to send you text messages or attract old relationships, you can go somewhere else for that. If you want help with figuring out how to actually process that stuff so that you stop recycling, stop doing the same toxic relationships, the same relationship patterns where you get ghosted or you get cheated on or he stops talking to you or this person just isn't affectionate for you and you feel like you're being used, whatever the pattern happens to be, if you've had a relationship pattern that's happened again and again, guess who's the common denominator in that problem? You. So you got to go do something about it. So if you want help with that, I'll throw up a video that you can go watch related to that, or you can go down into the description and just book a session and we'll talk and figure out what's going on with you. I always love helping people out. I also like helping people cry. A good cry is always good. But if you do that stuff, the invisible issues are like the old emotions. And once you finally process those old emotions, you get to have a wonderful, amazing life that you didn't even know was possible before, baby. Come on, go have your good life.